Welcome back to the SCS Emperor of Democracy, cadets. For our mission today, we're bringing the classic Punisher with its staggering ability, mobile reload, and efficiency at dealing with hunters. These little critters are dangerous when you're diving solo since they can slow you down and rip you to shreds, especially when we're not running a shield pack. The grenade pistol is going to help us out a lot when it comes to closing bug holes, and our incendiary grenades are going to act as a deterrent for any dumb animals wanting to nibble our legs off. For our support weapon, we're bringing the newly improved RS-422 Railgun. This weapon recently received some upgrades to its penetration capabilities, so we're going to be using it to deal with bile spewers, brood commanders, and hive guard. It'll also be real useful against chargers, killing them in only 3 headshots. For our support, we're going to be bringing Eagle 1, Democracy's most dedicated lethal lady. She's going to be helping us out with those 500 kilogram bombs for any shrieker nests, spore spewers, or bile titans that happen to pop up. Next up, we're bringing the Orbital Cluster Strike to pound hordes of bugs into a compliant paste. With a low cooldown, large kill radius, and 3 consecutive strikes, the Orbital Cluster Strike is going to be our workhorse for putting down those big groups of enemies and bug breaches. Lastly, we're taking a first for this series, the Autocannon Sentry. This weapon system is fantastic at putting large holes in dumb bugs while acting as our dedicated fire support / distraction. Now that you know the loadout and how we'll be using it, let's drop into combat.
Helldive launch initiated.
Alright y'all, since the game has gone under a lot of changes and solo in Helldive has gotten a lot harder because of an increased rate of patrol spawns, I wanted to talk about the 3 different types of threats we're going to be looking out for when we're diving in solo or with a team. First off, we got static enemies. These are enemies that just spawn on the map as soon as you load in. They're going to be at main objectives, they're going to be at points of interest. They'll always be there no matter what difficulty you're playing on, but the type of enemy will get harder as you go up. Next up, we got patrols. These are just the groups of enemies that wander the map. Typically, they come in packs of the similar kinds of enemies, or they'll come in a mixed pack with like one heavy enemy and a bunch of little guys. And this is true whether you're fighting the bots or the bugs. For example, against the bugs, you might see a charger mixed in with some hunters and a couple of bile spewers, or you might just see a big-ass group of 25 hunters coming for your throat. These random groups of enemies, their spawn rate has been increased by a noticeable amount. I think it's like 25-50% when you're diving solo. I'm not good at math, y'all, but it's a lot. It's very noticeable. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is when you know that the patrols are more frequent, it's going to change how you play. So as you can see here, I'm clearing out this stalker lair. I wanted to make sure that this was dead. It just happened to be in my way. But what I'm doing is I'm clearing out an area of the map. If I find any static enemies, the stationary enemies, I'm going to kill them. I'm going to not engage patrols if I can avoid it. And I'm going to get rid of this bug spore spewer so I can actually see what the frick I'm doing. Visibility is really important now because I need to be able to see those patrols coming. And also, when I'm going to be fighting around a main objective, I want to make sure that I'm not straying too far from that objective and potentially aggroing more patrols or even static enemies that can call in more bug breaches. I just want to have more control over the situation than I used to. Prior to this patch, if I'm being honest, y'all, solo in Helldive was not nearly as hard as some people thought. Now it feels like the proper experience. It feels like what you would imagine solo in the hardest difficulty in the game feels like, and it's mostly because of this increase in patrol spawns. Now to tie this little mini lesson up, let's talk about bug breaches. So bug breaches are going to be called in on a regular interval when you've attacked an enemy. When enemies are made aware of your presence, if the bug breach is off cooldown, they will try to call it in. Now there's only certain types of enemies that can call in bug breaches. For instance, a charger can't do it, a bile spewer can't do it, but there are quite a few that can. Now when a bug breach is called in, we have to make a very quick decision. We've either got to run from it or we've got to fight it. If we want to run from it, that's going to involve throwing a little bit of ordnance directly on the bug breach and then just hauling ass in the opposite direction. If we want to fight it, we're going to need to plan it out a little bit more carefully. With the loadout we've taken today, that means dropping the autocannon sentry a little further back. We don't want to put it at risk of being destroyed too quickly. It means dropping the orbital cluster strike on them after we've given them a chance to spawn out. We don't want to do it right away. We want to make sure that we're going to kill as many bugs as humanly possible, because you know ordnance ain't cheap. Now that y'all know how I'm thinking about the different types of situations we're going to be in, let's talk about how we're going to be doing objectives. I made this loadout after some careful consideration because the issue I was having was when bug breaches were called in while I was dealing with static enemies, or I got, third-partied by a patrol, I was really struggling to deal with all the enemies coming from all the different directions at the same time. And what I found is that using sentries in particular, it doesn't really matter which one you want to use. I feel like the autocannon is the most generally useful, but the point is going to be the same. But having a sentry out there gives the bugs something else to focus on. And just that alone can really save your bacon quite a few times. Like either it'll give you a chance to escape, it'll let you finish the objective before you get overwhelmed. There's just a lot of good reasons to bring a sentry on a solo Helldive now. Now I'm not saying they're required, I'm just saying they do help. As you can see here, that autocannon sentry allowed me to clear out all the static enemies here, combined with the orbital strike, before they could call in a bug breach. So that way I saved myself a lot of hassle and a lot of headache, and most importantly a lot of time. Speaking of time, we're going to speed on up into this bug hole here. Now bug holes when you're diving solo are pretty tricky to deal with unless you got like an autocannon or an eruptor or something that can snap them from a distance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to anticipate the bug breach while I'm dealing with these static enemies. I'm trying to drive this point home for y'all just so you can understand the strategy of it, right? So I dropped that 500 kilo down to kind of get business started. I want the bugs coming towards me because I have fire grenades and I'm gonna make them walk through a big old field of fire if they want to come touch me. I am very wary of hunters because I'm wearing light armor and I have no shield pack. So if you see me, if I notice a hunter, they're my #1 priority, especially if they're close. #2 priority are these biospewers because they can quickly overwhelm you with just volume of fire if there's enough of them. But as you can see here, the bug breach has been called in, but all these little guys, they got to keep walking over my incendiary grenades. I've got an air burst coming up. I'm not quite sure if I use it. I don't use it just yet. But I'm going to try to find a different position because I feel like I've cleared out enough of the enemies to where I can start dealing with the actual bug hole. And then tragedy's about to strike. So I get stunned, charger bonks me over, I lose consciousness briefly, hunter stabs me in the butt, and yeah, it's just a comedy of errors, y'all. It happens, and it's really hard to avoid deaths now with the new Helldive. But that's part of the fun, ain't it? We drop in for democracy and give our lives for freedom. We don't really care about death that much. But anyway, I dropped back in. I will admit this is a bit of a rage drop. I was just kind of annoyed. That kind of felt a little bit unfair at the time. But, I can see in hindsight I just shouldn't have been there. And because I was frustrated, I throw in my orbital, try to dive away, and get decapitated. It happens. But thankfully, the SES Emperor of Democracy's got my back and is going to be able to kill off most of the bugs with that orbital. So I'm dropping back in, and I'm going to throw down my sentry just because I don't want to die again. Like, I probably didn't need to do that here. Honestly, it would have been better to just hold off. There's only one bug hole left. But I really didn't want to die 3 times in a row. So I throw down the sentry. I'm going to use that to kind of cover my escape once I've cleared out this bug hole. Finish off the last few hunters. I'm chucking nade down this thing. I'm really tired of being here. I was really annoyed at the time because, died twice doing silly things. Now that that's cleared out, I'm going to go grab my stuff. I don't have my railgun or my samples, so I'm going to go make sure I get those. And then I'm going to head off towards the next objective. After rearming and resupplying, we're going to take a look at this oil refinery because freedom doesn't fly on air. We need some biofuels to send this nuke down to the Terminids. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make sure we clear out all the static enemies, the guys that have spawned here first. I see this charger coming. Now this is a good time to talk about something with the railgun. Railgun takes 3 shots to the head to kill a charger. But you can see here, that's 4 shots. He's not dead. So what gives? Well, when you drop the railgun and then pick it up, so like if you die and then you pick it up, for some reason, it defaults back to safe mode. I really hate this. I don't know why it does it. It's just annoying. And it just puts me in awkward situations more often than I'd like to admit. But just be aware that if you do die with the railgun, you're gonna need to switch it back to unsafe mode, or you might run into that situation. And it's really difficult because you won't notice unless you're shooting specifically a charger. Because like brood commanders, bile spewers, you can see like he takes his head off no problem. It'll do the same thing to bile spewers in safe mode, but we really need it to be just barely unsafe before it'll kill a charger. You know, just barely not OSHA compliant. Once we've crossed that little bit of a threshold, it works wonders. 3 headshots kills them no problem. Or you can strip their armor off their leg with 2 shots and then finish them off with your primary. But here I'm getting a little bit overwhelmed. This bug breach has been kind of hard, especially with all the bile spewers. It's just really easy to die in one hit to these things. So I wanted to make a little bit of space, kind of use my railgun's advantages by taking all these guys out one by one. Like I said, just one well-placed shot will usually do it. And yeah, now I see that the enemies have thinned out quite a bit. The bug breach is going to be on cooldown. You remember how I talked about that. So I'm killing all the enemies that can call in another one before dealing with these last few bile spewers. Because after I kill these guys, I'm going to need to do the oil refinery mini game. And I really don't want to be fending off a big horde of hunters or scavengers or crap while I'm doing that. But of course, while I'm thinking about all this stuff and getting ready to do the objective, a frickin' Bile Titan shows up. So I've got to bait him away, and this is going to have the added benefit of getting the enemies to kind of loop around the terrain. So as you, I don't know if you can see on the mini-map there, but there's this big-ass rock in front of me, and I feel like if I can move over here and kind of go back around it, by the time I get back to the oil refinery, most of the bugs should have been gone, because they should have been following me. But there we go, we time in that Eagle 1 strike pretty well, deals with the Bile Titan. So now we can go back to pumping some oil. Now I know some of y'all out there really don't like this minigame, but you know what you should like? This video. And drop a subscription if you've been enjoying the content so far. I will keep trying to bring y'all quality Helldivers 2 content as soon as possible. But anyway, a quick tip with this little minigame here is on that first row of the like pop puzzle game, it's usually the first row needs to be moved in order for the puzzle to be solved. So if you're struggling with that one, just make sure that the first one kind of matches with, you know, the path it's supposed to go through. And sometimes you can even just switch it real quick like I did there. I just did a 1-2 and it just instantly fixed it. But yeah, anyway, I just thought it was hilarious how so many Helldivers I see when I play in squads, they struggle with this one, and it's mighty hilarious, y'all. I love watching you guys sit at the terminal just stabbing buttons while there's just all kinds of death coming your way. But anyway, now that we've finished that objective, let's head on to the next one. I'm clearing out a big portion of the map all at once, because what another big issue I found with the most recent update is time. I was constantly running out of time, y'all. I would have games where I would end the game with like 800 plus kills, but I wasn't able to extract because I would just get overwhelmed. I would just be fighting all the time, trying to just claw my way to Pelican 1 and having very little success. So what the route I found that works best is to kind of do the map in sections and make sure I'm keeping good pace with the primary objective. So like it's 25 minutes in right now. I do not need to rush to turn the power on for the missile. I'm just taking my time. I don't want to aggro things that I don't need to fight. And I'm going to sneak my way through here so I can try to clear out any optional objectives on the other side of the map. What's most important to me when I do a solo Helldive mission is I refuse, by freedom itself, to get a rating less than 3 stars. If I get a rating less than 3 stars, less than an honorable duty, I feel like I've let y'all down, I feel like I've let myself down, and I feel like I've let Liberty down. And the way we get higher, or 3 stars or higher, is by doing side objectives. And that means allowing time to be able to do the fuckers. Because it can be real hard balancing primary objectives with clearing bug holes and doing side objectives all on your own while you're being swarmed by Liberty knows how many frickin' enemies. But as you play and as you get used to it, you'll kind of find this rhythm. That's what I did when I was recording this for y'all. But I found that I shouldn't focus too heavily on these bug holes. If I can clear them quickly, I'll do it. But if I can't, I'll just leave the bug hole there and go do other stuff. It's not because I can't clear it, y'all. It's just that it takes so freaking long to do it. It's just not usually worth it. By the way, this was a bullshit death. I don't know what the hell happened there. I think the charger bonked me forwards, and then my head just hit the rock, caved in my skull, and I died. I wasn't really sure how I died there. One charger hit shouldn't instantly kill you like that. Anyway, I got a little bit distracted. Forgive old Commissar Caiaphas for that one. But like I was saying about bug holes, if you're bringing a kit that kills them quickly, then go for it. But if you're not, clear out the ones that are gonna matter. Like, I want to clear this one because it's in between extraction and the next stage of the primary objective. Or sorry, it's in between the electrical part of the objective and launching the nuke. So I want to get rid of it so I'm not running into it on my way to and fro objectives. But if this bug hole was off somewhere else, like in a corner of the map somewhere, I probably wouldn't have bothered to clear it. I'll go clear bug holes if I've already done all the side objectives and, I've still got like 10 minutes left. If I know I have time, I'll go look for them. But otherwise, I'm going to leave them for now, y'all. Maybe I can adapt as I get better at the game and as I adjust to these new changes. Maybe then I can go for those whole, deathless, full completion runs. But if I'm being real with y'all, I'm just not good enough to do that yet. These new changes are taking a lot of getting used to, but I'm confident in my ability, and I'm confident in my ability to do it for y'all. So just stay tuned, and we'll see what happens. Now that we've cleared out the bug nest, we're going to head towards the next side objective. I think it's the escape pod data upload. Since it's on the map and I can see it, it's kind of natural for me to run towards it. But I'm keeping my eye open for anything else that might pop up. There might be there might be a shrieker nest. There might be stalker layers. There could be all kinds of stuff. Actually, there is a stalker. I think I just saw him. I think he got hit by that ice thing there. Yeah, there he is. Come here, you sucker. But yeah. So anyway, I see the stalker. I see the upload thing. I don't know why I started this immediately. I thought maybe, oh, I can just kill one stalker at a time. Because I know it's only going to be one stalker, because if there were two, I'd already be getting attacked by the other one. So since I know it's only going to be one stalker, I figured like, yeah, I can do this. But when this patrol showed up, and it had some scavengers and those little spitter guys in it, I knew it could call in a bug breach, and I was like, ah, fuck, I gotta get moving, because that stalker's going to come poke me in the ass soon, and I don't have a shield. I'm in light armor. It'll kill me instantly. So I'm going to run away, and I'm going to go deal with this stalker layer first, and then we'll go back and pound up some bugs. Saying this feels like stating the obvious, but in case you're new to the game, or, you haven't quite climbed up in the difficulties yet, or haven't dealt with stalkers, whatever, make sure that if you see stalkers, those spindly guys with the long arms that can tongue punch you into infinity, make sure you hunt down their lair, because they will keep spawning, and if you're close to their lair, you can't hide from them. They know where you are, and they will come find you. Another quick tip with them is if you are just wandering the map doing nothing, and then the music starts playing out of nowhere, it's very likely that a stalker has seen you, or a shrieker nest, one of the two. Because if you haven't heard like the bugs squeak, or the weird noises they make when they come in contact with you, and the music starts, well, there's some bug that's coming after you. So make sure that you're aware of that, and if it is a stalker, go hunt that sucker down and get rid of him before he just ruins your whole run. We made our way back to the escape pod, and we got the data uploaded. I saw a patrol heading towards me, so I was kind of using the pod to hide myself, and then I just took off right before the objective ended, kind of give myself a little bit of a head start. But now that side objective's done, I'm going to head towards the main objective, because the nuke launch is on the other side of the map, and I've only got about 18 minutes left. So I need to do this relatively quickly, so I can get across the map, deal with any extra side objectives or bullshit that happens to me along the way. And basically, we just got to make sure we do this right. So I throw down the autocannon sentry a good bit away from me, kind of divide the bug's attention. And I'm going to be just killing them off one by one with a railgun, while the autocannon, hits them from the other side. This is one of those instances I was telling y'all about where I'm dealing with static enemies. It looks like a patrol wandered by, and now there's a bug breach. That bug breach just happened. So I'm going to throw a bunch of nades at it while I deal with these brood commanders and bile spears that are following me. I'm trying to get the fire to do most of the work for me. I unfortunately take a random bullshit shot from a bile spewer downtown, and I think the impact of me hitting the wall there is what killed me. But we persevere, we drop back in, we gather our crap, and we go back to killing bugs. We made a little bit of distance for ourselves, and we're able to kind of isolate some of these spewers away from the main pack. This is going to help a lot because as soon as we pick these suckers off, we're going to be able to kind of push into the main objective. Now, this is a bit of a time-sensitive issue because if we don't kill these guys fast enough, in about 2, maybe 3 minutes, another bug breach is going to be called in. So I either need to kill everything or I need to disengage and go somewhere else. Whether you're dropping in solo or playing with a team, it is always okay to leave the area and come back later. If you're really getting overwhelmed, it is kind of pointless to keep dropping in and dying just to kill a few bugs or bots or whatever, and just keep repeating that process. That's how you waste your reinforcements, and that's how you lose games. The way you win games is by knowing when you can win the fight and when you can't. So like right here, I know there's no more bug breach, and I know most of the bugs that are still alive are over in that little crevice over there. So throwing in that orbital strike should kill off the rest of the spewers that were in that area. And then I've only got the guys that are just trickling in here. So this should be easy enough to deal with before another bug breach can be called in. Now I am kind of low on supplies, so I throw a resupply away from the objective, because again, I don't know that I can handle this. I think I can, but I want to plan for the worst and, you know, kind of just hope that it goes according to plan, but if it doesn't, have something to fall back on, right? So anyway, I'm killing off all these bugs. I'm prioritizing the brood commanders because I don't want them calling in a bug breach or calling in their like backup reinforcements, their backup dancers. I don't know what the hell they're called, but they bring them in on occasion. But after those last couple of hunter kills, I'm pretty sure everything here is dead. You can see we're under 15 minutes now, so that took us about 4 minutes to just clear this out, deal with the bug breach and all that other stuff. Do y'all see why I was saying that dealing with bug holes sometimes can be I don't want to say a waste of time, that really hurts me in the democracy, but it might not be the most efficient use of our time to clear out every bug hole. Because we need the time to fight at these primary objectives. If we don't have that, we can't complete the mission, we can't get our honorable duty. As I'm wrapping up this electrical crap, I notice another patrol walking in. So I threw down my sentry because I'm planning to run away. I'm gonna aggro the patrol, I'm gonna shoot at it a little bit. If it spawns bug breach, that's totally fine. Because like I told y'all, you gotta make a quick decision. Either you fighting it or you running away. And in this case, I'm running away. So there's the bug breach called in. And I've got to haul ass across the map because I've only got 13 minutes. And there might be more side objectives. Maybe there's a shrieker nest. Maybe there's a bug hole I really need to clear out. I need to give myself about 10 minutes of time, ideally, to do the final part of the primary objective. Because that part of the primary objective is going to have a lot of critters coming at me all at once. So I need enough time to be able to fight them and then get to the extract without getting left behind. Now, as we're walking to the primary objective, we come on this bug hole here, and I briefly entertained the idea of fighting it out and trying to deal with this. But as soon as I see these hunters, I know those hunters are not static enemies part of the bug hole. That was a patrol of hunters. So this has suddenly become a very dangerous situation because I'm not in a good like funnel position. I'm very close to the bug hole. There's a bug breach being called in, and there's a bunch of hunters and biospheres shooting at me. So I'm gonna make sure I get some distance. I'm gonna use my fire grenades to make sure these little guys can't follow me without burning to death. And yeah, we're gonna fight out this bug breach a little bit while I kind of decide what I want to do. I wanted to clear out the bug hole, but as you can see, the 10-minute mark is coming up. And yeah, at this point I'm kind of more thinking to myself, I just need to clear out all these enemies so I can move on to the main objective. I don't want this big bug breach chasing me while I'm going to the primary, because I haven't been to that part of the map yet, y'all. So what does that mean? There's going to be static enemies there. I don't want to be fighting through static enemies with a bug breach behind me. That's why I'm fighting this out instead of, you know, doing the sensible thing and running away. Since we just got this lone Bile Titan, let me try to give y'all a little bit of advice. When dealing with Bile Titans, 500 kg is easily the best option. The orbital precision strike is a close second. But if you're able to get the 500 kilogram right beneath the Bile Titan as it's throwing its puke, it'll usually kill it in one hit. Here, this guy, he took 2 extra railgun shots to finish off. I think it's because the actual bomb hit him. And for some reason, when the actual bomb physically hits the Bile Titan, it doesn't do nearly as much damage. So just be aware of that. Sometimes you'll need to finish them off. You can sometimes even do it with like impact grenades, so you don't necessarily need the railgun to do it. But I just wanted to clue y'all in on that. There are some people that are way better than me at timing those 500 kilos underneath the Bile Titans. It does seem to be a sweet science where if you get the rhythm right, you can really just wreck them every time, and it looks really cool when you do it. Well, now that we've wandered our way across the map, we've found ourselves the primary objective. In this one, it's launching the nuke. The way you're going to want to do this particular objective, but in general, the kind of in-game objectives all kind of work like this, is since you've completed all the other parts of the primary, you're going to be getting more enemy spawns than you got at the start of the map. Also, the timer being low means the enemy spawns also increase. So this is kind of the trickiest part of the mission, is getting this last objective done. We got to balance out killing enough stuff to be able to, you know, physically do the objective versus the time it's going to take us to finish the map. We also need to be running towards extraction, and if the clock runs out, we're only going to have 2 minutes to do that. By the way, you see, I got really unlucky there. That freaking bomb hit the Bile Titan's leg, it didn't kill him, and now I'm going to have to circle him around in forever, just shooting railgun shots at him until my autocannon comes off cooldown. So yeah, that's kind of annoying, and it's kind of what I'm talking about, though. Wastes of time. Wastes of time are the worst thing when you're at the end of a Helldive mission, because if that clock's getting low, like I said, more enemies are spawning, you're less likely to be able to get to extraction. It's just all around bad, y'all. So what I'm trying to do here is, rather than standing and fighting this absurd amount of enemies with all this bile artillery and crap while the Titans chase me and I don't have any 500 kilos, I'm trying to get the enemies to circle around the nuke site so that they're not physically on the nuke site, so I can actually do the primary objective. A single Bile Titan is not usually a problem. Like, this guy, he's just going to be chasing me and occasionally puking in my direction, but he's not really a threat to me, if that makes sense. I'm much more wary of like a random hunter that I didn't see causing a death, or a bile spewer just nuking me out of nowhere. The Bile Titans very rarely kill me because they're very slow, they're very cumbersome, and they're pretty easy to dodge. So here I get my autocannon sentry up, and I'm going to start yanking these pins out of the ground as soon as this sucker is dead. Because that is going to be hard to do with him stomping all over the place. I'm not going to be able to stand in place and take those pins out with his big ass just trying to stab me with all 4 of his limbs.
5 minutes left. Liberty speed your step, Helldiver.
I'm going to keep peppering him with railgun shots. I would not recommend you try to kill a healthy Bile Titan with a railgun. It's going to take more ammo than I think you can carry. But if they have low health, you can sometimes finish them off with the railgun. I've killed them in anywhere between 1 and like 6 shots before. You know, as I watch this bile artillery fall down on my head and almost get me blown up by my own frickin' cannon, I feel the need to remind y'all to try to remain calm. Even when things look like they're going to shit, you're covered in bugs, there's explosions all around you, try to keep your head on straight, because that's what's really going to get you out of it alive. So I'm going to be trying to make my way to do the primary objective. I need to keep like hitting the button, going and doing other stuff, killing bugs, just kind of juggling all this crap at once. But I know that once I hit that, I don't need to do the little mini game to go pull these pins out of the missile silo. I can just get this done quickly, and then I can go back to, you know, doing the computer stuff. We still got quite a fight ahead of us, so I'm just going to let y'all enjoy me smacking some bugs around before we get this missile in the air. We got 3 minutes to go, so let's see if we can do it.
towards the sun rays, and on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And
Well, y'all, that was a hell of a fight. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, for the extraction here, you see there's quite a bit of time left, but I'm honestly going to cut most of it out, and I'll tell you why. So, I've found that the way to do extraction on the new Helldive, it's actually a lot easier to let the clock run out and then run to the extraction while they send the emergency shuttle for you than it is to call in the extraction and try to fight your way out. I've not had any success doing that. So all I did here, and I cut most of it out, I just ran around in a circle and avoided every enemy I saw. That's all I did. You see there's patrols all around me. I just snuck my way through them, and now I'm waiting until Pelican 1 is actually in the air above me, shooting his cannon, before I run to him. But as soon as I hear that glorious Pelican 1 touching down, I'm going to haul ass across all these VIP patrols, make my way into Pelican 1, and get the hell off this bug plane. But that's the run, y'all. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you've learned something. I know this new patch has made the game a lot harder, and some people are kind of despairing a little bit, but hopefully by watching me do this by myself, y'all will understand that there's always a solution. You can always get a little bit better at the game, you can change your loadout up, you can find a way to win as long as you put your head to it. And if you have friends to help you along the way, all the better. Next video, we'll be looking at how to do the same thing against the bots, and I'm excited to get back to fighting the frickin' communists, because I'm really tired of running away from bugs. I much prefer a standing fight with bullets. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, know that I appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to bringing you to the next one. Until next time, Commissar Kai, signing out.